To get people excited about Boost Mobile's new nationwide 5G network, we're offering unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month.
Forever.
Even if you have a baby.
Even if your baby has a baby.
Even if you grow old and wrinkly and you start repeating yourself.
Even if you start repeating yourself.
Even if you're on your deathbed and you need to make one last call.
Or text.
Right, or text. The long-lost son you abandoned at birth.
You'll still get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile.
Forever!
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Forever!
Explaining football to the friend who's just there for the nachos? Hard. Tailgating from home like a pro with snacks and drinks everyone will love? An easy win. And with Instacart helping deliver the snack time MVPs to your door, you're ready for the game in as fast as 30 minutes. So you never miss a play or lose your seat on the couch or have to go head-to-head for the last chicken wing. Shop Game Day Faves on Instacart and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 grocery orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Other fees and terms apply.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
Surviving Sister Wives contains adult content that may not be suitable for Latter-day Saints or sinners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Sister Wives.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly. And this is Season 13, Episode 4, Kody's Shocking Move.
The move to end all moves, perhaps. But not really, because we still got Season 14 coming. And we know there were plenty of moves in Season 14.
This is one of those iconic Sister Wives episodes, so I'm so excited that we finally made it here, even if we had to sit through basically 2 hours of this episode.
This is one of the landmark episodes.
It started out strong, and then we just faded towards the end. You know, when you end an episode riding off into the sunset on segways, that they've gone downhill.
Unless you're ending Paul Blart 2. Probably. I need to call Kara, and we got to get something set up for that. Maybe we'll do the Corey Strikes Back. I'll have to check in with her, see if she's down for the Paul Blart 2.
I'm pretty sure she's not going to respond to that email.
I'm vaguely certain that will be in the spam inbox for her.
What did we see in this episode?
Well, the TLC description for this one is Aspyn goes wedding dress shopping, but after the fun, Kody drops a huge bombshell. He tells his wives they need to sell their houses and move. Janelle digs in her heels. She's not going to do this to her kids.
He didn't really tell them to sell the houses, though.
Janelle didn't really dig in her heels and...
A little bit.
She kind of said that she wasn't going to...
She started to implant those heels.
But then they start thinking...
That's the biggest problem in this family.
And the thoughts, when this family starts thinking, they tend to go wildly optimistic and very unrealistic. So let's hear the Carly episode rewrite for this one instead.
Kody predicts an impending housing market crash 10 years too late. Aspyn updates her wedding invites to say, dress code, royal attire optional. Meri, Janelle, and Christine admire Hannah's husbandless, independent life in Seattle.
With just the right amount of jealousy, I think, between all of them. For different ways, and different reasons.
They were still trying to cover everything up, though.
They were bottling it up.
Yeah. You can see it in this episode. I'm very excited for the dinner. Was it dinner?
It was
lunch. It was lunch.
It was
Man,
lunch.
Janelle had to have hated that.
Lunch in a hat.
Lunch with hats, nothing worse. Hats and sister wives? Ugh.
Strikes 2 and 3.
Tell us about the announcements this week, Corey.
Well, there has been a Dabsark spotting, a sighting, if you will. Cameras are around. People are seeing them out in the wild filming. But this has got to be content for what, season 20, 21 at this point? We've already got season 19 in the can.
I'm pretty sure it's for a remake of The Sound of Music. Because why were they dressed like the Von Trapp family? They were matching. What was happening?
Well, that would imply that they would be making these clothes out of curtains, and we know very well that they do not have curtains at the She-Ra Chateau, but maybe that's why they don't have curtains. Is Robin ripping all of the drapes down to make her children matching outfits to wear around town?
Too much work.
I don't think she would be capable of it as a seamstress. I don't think she has that skill set. She's more in the fusing of metals.
It's where her talents lie.
Yeah.
It was giving FLDS a little bit.
The bow and the hair doesn't help.
Just saying, when you're trying to distance yourselves from that, maybe we don't do the bow and the hair. We don't have matching long dresses. You know what they were not out doing? Celebrating McKelty's birthday.
Ooh, yeah. Kody forgot to send McKelty the courtesy text or even give her a ringy-ding-ding. Did not do that. Was not on the list. Robin did not remind him to do that.
That's super shitty.
When that's your only adult child who is trying her damnedest, her hardest to maintain a relationship with you, and you're still kicking that to the curb and sending that on ignore.
Beyond just that, she basically went on a free PR tour for you on her Patreon last year to try to make you and Robin seem redeemable. And not even she gets a birthday card.
So they must have been real upset by that because McKelty and Tony are moving to North Carolina.
That is the word on the street. Apparently, McKelty shared that on her Patreon, and the word has spread like wildfire. Everybody wants to know, why would they move to North Carolina?
Well, obviously, it'd be to be closer to Maddie and Caleb.
You think they'll move in with Maddie and Caleb?
Move in with? I hope not.
I think everybody has to.
It's a rite of passage for the Brown children. Everyone has to.
They are just about at that maturity age, don't you think?
Well, McKelty has made it abundantly clear on her Patreon that the clique of siblings in her family, it was Aspyn, Leon, and Maddie, and McKelty was not invited into that group for a while. So it seems weird that she would be clicking so much with Maddie now, I guess. I don't know if it's just a shared
now.
Yeah, shared thing with the
kids.
Kiddos. Yeah, if that's making more sense in the long run here.
It's so much easier to take Plexus photos together.
That
when
is
you're in
easy.
The same area.
Yeah, you can hire the same family members to just run both of the businesses.
Or are we getting a sibling spinoff of Sister Wives?
Accounting on
Sister Wives siblings? No, I don't know what would we call that? Sister Wives, the next chapter. It'll have just as many viewers as Teen Mom does now.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Sister Wives, the Next Generation, which is a Star Trek nod to the next generation of Jean-Luc Picard. Speaking of nerdy shit, we've got a special Let's Talk About It episode coming up this week. We're going to be recapping Ren Fair on our Patreon. So you can always swing over to patreon.com/survivingpod. You'll get access to the archives of our rewatch all the way back to season 1, as well as whatever the hell Ren Fair is going to be, because I've heard it compared to that of Tiger King-esque. We'll have to see if it's giving Ren Fair or if it's giving Bennigan's.
I hope it's giving Bennigan's. We'll recap all 3 episodes then.
And remember, the Patreon is where every dollar you pledge makes us just a little bit more successful than my sister wife's closet. Huge thanks to all of our patrons out there, except the basement wife tier, you slackers. We're really disappointed in you guys.
I'm disappointed that you didn't talk about season 19 of Sister Wives. The speculation is everywhere because McKelty and Kody's nephew, Benjamin, have been out in these streets talking about how Sister Wives is coming back in August or September.
Oh, Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Granola Button. Granola Factory.
Granola Boy, as we lovingly refer to him as.
Look, we had to hear about that granola for a long time from Peyton. It was not a thing that held as fond memories for Benjamin.
Clearly not, yeah, due to all of the labor laws that were violated.
We will tell you as soon as we know that Sister Wives is coming back, but I don't see it yet in the TLC schedule. I don't think that it's going to be back in August because there's a new show called Forbidden Love starting July 21st in the same time slot. So
unless it's really, really short.
Yeah. Maybe unless it's like a couple episodes long.
6 weeks.
I don't think there's any chance of August, but what do I know? TLC doesn't tell us anything. Nor do I think they tell McKelty anything. But that's just a personal opinion.
But all it takes is for McKelty to say it and then Benjamin Button Granola Boy to repeat it.
That is not nice.
What?
Maybe let's not call him Benjamin Button Granola Boy constantly. We call him Benjamin Button.
Is that where you're drawing the line on the podcast? Is that where we're drawing the line? Oh, BBGB. Benjamin Button Granola Boy. It is easier to say BBGB.
That's fun.
So, yeah, that's all it takes is for somebody else to repeat it, and then it starts getting picked up, and then it gets published, and then it's everywhere else, and then everybody else is repeating it.
It's a fact.
It spreads like wildfire, like we said. Like wildfire heading towards Meri's rental in Arizona.
All right, we have to get into this episode because I can't take it anymore. My first note is about him setting up these poster boards, and we cannot hold off any longer.
Well, let's get this pony in the water, as we say around here.
Sounds weird when you say it.
Oh, well, yeah.
Just flowed out of me that day.
I drew too much attention to it here. But anyway, Kody is he's prepping his life away. It is presentation time, coming down to the wire here. He's explaining to the cameras, this is sort of like a business presentation because I'm sure they've had so many lessons learned from the Shark Tank experiences that they've had. They really needed more poster boards to kind of drive those points home.
It's sort of like a business presentation because I'm going to write it off because I used Robin's My Sister Wives Closet business account to print all of these things.
And it's sort of like a business presentation in that it's going to crash and burn and it's really not going to work out in our favor.
He's got the easel set up. He jumps on the couch so that he can understand the visual of what it looks like to be facing this presentation from where the wives will be.
He is test driving this, but I like that he used a blank slide as his test viewing panel there. So you didn't get an idea of, is the text large enough to read at that distance? We didn't get a good grasp on that. Just, do I have clear line of sight on the board? Yes. Confirmed. We had to sit in each individual seat on the couch to make sure that we did have a visual line of sight.
Do you think that's where the camera's going to be? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. No, not where the camera was, huh?
Oh, you mean like maybe was he seating...
Seeing if the camera was getting a good view of the poster board?
Or like if he was sitting in the different seats because cameras needed to check angles to make sure that they had coverage for it. That's being pretty generous.
Oh, now we're getting into the details of the magic of television making.
Behind the scenes. Yeah, behind the scenes. But basically what we find out is that Kody's a huge Hunter S. Thompson fan because he's all about leaving Las Vegas.
I didn't get the reference.
Yeah, that's okay.
Lie.
There's probably, there might be one or two people out there. Maybe you picked up on that one. So
I do know just enough about that book to kind of understand it.
And it was a subsequent movie film as well.
Oh.
With Johnny Depp. There you go.
Very nice. Maybe not Johnny Depp. We're not really sure what to think about that.
Oh, yeah.
Can we comment on that? I don't think
so. Mixed reviews.
He's got everything set up, so now it's time to call the wives.
And this was just very, very hilarious for them to leave every single call in because it was word for word the same thing that was being said to each wife.
This was chef's kiss editing. So he calls, I don't know, who first? Christine. Hi, I'm ready. Do you want to come over to Janelle's house? Okay, thanks. And then does that 3 more times.
Hi, I'm ready. You want to come over to Janelle's house? Thanks.
No variation at all to the words, to the affect of how things are said.
To which I would argue, is that not a group text scenario?
That's a group text kind of thing. He wanted to make sure that they didn't just ignore his text.
If you're sending the exact same message with the exact same tone and everything is the exact same, I think that could go out as one singular message in a group text. I would argue
we could have been a little more efficient.
It was very much the beginning of Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're my number one customer sort of repetition.
Well,
that was
that's
happening.
Robin's line.
Yeah. So it was kind of like that. But now the wives are showing up and Kody's pacing around. He's getting nervous, but he's ready to TCOB, take care of some business.
I was disappointed that he didn't put a blank slide in front of his title page because not only does he have the title, he also has his agenda on the same page. They see everything. It's spoiled as soon as they sit down.
Not recommended. I think Meri hit the nail on the head, though, when she said it's kind of like Sunday school a little bit. I think he needed the felt board, though, where he could Velcro tack some things up, some visual aids maybe. That would have made it a little bit more interactive, perhaps.
We have a lot of things we can improve next time around.
The next time they go to move, which we know will be in the 3 to 5 years.
All right, so should we go through the boards one at a time?
All right, so yeah, we were taking screenshots of the actual slides that we were able to see so we could decipher. Word for word on this opening title/agenda slide, kind of broken English. There's not much punctuation.
He does not like punctuation at all, even for a question.
Especially for questions, because that's the first thing that you read is, what is best for our family? But there is no period, there's no question mark, there's nothing after that to indicate a tone of...
It's a statement.
It is a statement of what is best for our family. He's telling you this is what is best for our family. He's not asking you what's best for the family. He's telling you what it is.
And then the unfortunate quote, where we go one, we go all.
Because Kody is Q.
Right.
Not just a QAnon subscriber. I literally mean he is like the Q in QAnon. I would like to start that as a theory.
It really makes me giggle to think that whoever is behind that was watching Sister Wives and was really inspired by that quote.
Has to be. But then we get kind of an agenda. I feel like these are out of order if we're going down the list a little bit.
There's a lot that we need to critique here. So our first agenda item, what of our future?
Because while he was making this, and he was up till 3 o'clock in the morning last night, the wee hours of the morning after Ariella May went to bed, and he was finishing this up, apparently he turned into a sort of medieval peasant, where it was, what of our future, my lord? What of our future?
We could have been a little more succinct with our future.
You could have surmised the entirety of that in just 2 words. Because again, it's what of our future, but no question mark. So what of our future? I don't know what of.
And then he goes into the current housing market. I think it probably would have made more sense to go to the final agenda item, our current situation. So our future, our current situation, the housing market, and then things that could change.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe unknowns.
Yeah. Listing out our current situation as the last item, I feel like that was where we needed to start. And then what of our future? Maybe that would be the last, because that's what you're building towards, is what's happening in the future.
We need work crafting a presentation story.
Structure is a big part of this. And if your information's all jumbled around here, it's not going to be easy to follow along with, which leads us to our next slide.
Anybody who has ever had to build a PowerPoint presentation for work is dying a little inside right now.
It's true. But this is basic. This is day one stuff.
It was really hard to get a good shot of the next slide.
Yeah, it was a little cut off on the left-hand side, but it sounded like it was mostly just being played up about what was going to be happening over the next few years. Because again, we can base it off of the agenda slide of what of our future.
Do you think that that's what this correlates to? That's where he's supposed to start. What of our future? So the title of this sounds like it's like the next few years.
Yeah, so this is what of our future, meaning what is going to be happening in the next few years. It's mostly revolving around their kids are going to be leaving the nest, going out and living their own lives. And so we don't really need to be this big cohesive family unit like we've always been for this whole time.
And there's some economic factors that they may want to consider because they need to figure out how to secure a financial future for their family.
Which that's what we get a good glimpse at on this slide here is what assets do we have that can offer? :
He did use a punctuation here.
But it wasn't a question mark, even though he is asking a question as well.
Maybe we should have just had what assets do we have?
Oh, you know what it is?
Because they don't have anything but the houses, I'm pretty sure.
No, he read it off as a list. So it's what assets do we have that can offer financial stability?
Right.
That can offer financial support to our children as to not burden them with loans for college. Ease of mind and not worrying about current debts. Being proactive, best planned future.
All right, we get a little weird at the end there.
A lot of words.
Can I just say how incredibly crazy it is to have this many children and to think that you're going to send each and every one of them who desires to go to college to school with no loans?
Well, and to build this entire presentation and go into all of this strategy without the aid of any sort of financial planning advice from anyone else. This is all just off of Kody's individual research that he's parsing together through different things that he's heard that will lead to financial independence for him and the family.
And what is his plan to get us there, Corey?
We got to sell these houses. We got to liquidate the only assets that we have in the world. We got to sell these puppies.
Why? Because the housing market is at its peak.
It's never going to get higher than it is right now. Peak housing market.
How many of us would love to go back to 2018 and buy a house?
I would buy all 4 of these houses in 2018. Give me that opportunity. I would do it in a heartbeat.
We'll get into some of the details in here when we actually talk about his presentation. But he has some other things. He talks a little bit about population affordability, that basically there's not a lot of people in the area who can afford their houses, and that cost of houses is going to continue to rise. So how are they going to find a buyer to purchase all of these 4 homes? Or buyers, I should say, because I don't think we have another Plig family coming to the cul-de-sac. And of course, prices right now, they're a lot higher than they were when they bought these houses low.
So this is where it gets wild, because he starts factoring based on Las Vegas home pricing, where he's calculating per square footage average now at this time, at the time of filming, based on his November 2017 numbers, which is probably the last time they were published and available for reference here. $169 is the home price index per square foot for their size homes. And he's calculating each house would sell in the high 6 figures range. That's Kody's math on this slide. We're going to have to double check that, though, because we have some of our own figures to back into as well.
It's a presentation that's clearly written with a confirmation bias to it, right?
He knows what the answer is, that the conclusion that he wants these women to reach through his presentation, and he is steering everything in that direction so they reach that conclusion themselves.
They all sit down, and for some reason, he has now copies of the PowerPoint that he hands to them. So I don't really know why we needed to make sure that we were honed in on the larger easel. I like how they all pretend to actually go through the pages as he was presenting. It was just like a real life presentation in a boardroom.
Yeah, just aimlessly shuffling through here. Yeah, he was requesting that they do not skip ahead, do not read ahead, because he'll get to those slides in due time.
It's a big reveal.
But I feel like he just did that because that's what Janelle did at the Shark Tank episode. So that's his only exposure to these sorts of presentations. So that's how he thinks that these are supposed to go.
He wants them to get the vibe that it's serious. This is important.
As serious as a heart attack is what he says. Well, kind of.
I love that Christine sat down and was like, who helped him with this? Because someone has to know already.
That was Meri.
Oh, Meri said it.
Yeah, because Janelle and Christine immediately said, no, not us. And Robin was kind of quiet for a second.
Of course.
But then she started saying, no, I didn't help with it at all. This is all Kody. But I think we kind of get an idea here that there's some Robin thoughts.
Of course.
Throughout the framework of this presentation.
Well, that makes a lot more sense, because Meri definitely had a face of shock and awe. She probably thought everyone else was in the know except for her.
Well, and the way they were talking about this, though, is I just like that Kody had to kind of whip everybody into the same frenzy. Like, remember that emotional, reactive decision that we made to flee Utah because we were allegedly under investigation, which wasn't really a pertinent threat and wasn't going to have a direct impact on our lives. But we instead packed up everything that we owned, every single person in our family, and fled the state. I need you to get into that same mind state for this presentation. Then it will make sense. So please panic with me.
Oh, well, the TLDR is basically that they were never supposed to stay in Vegas permanently, which is funny because we saw them bury a time capsule, and we saw Robin talking about how she never wants to talk about moving ever again. And yet it seems as though he's established from the beginning to them that this was not their final destination.
Ironically, they dig up the time capsule right around the times when they're selling the house. So was that was the deadline that Kody had to move? Is that what that was?
I think they dug them up because they were moving.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. If those dates happen to coincide, though, that would be something special.
That'd be diabolical.
Wow.
I don't think he can plan anything that well. We flash back to January 15th, 2011, moving day.
I just don't know why he is trying to connect that move with this move that he is pitching, because the move to Vegas was horrible for everybody. Everybody hated it. It was very traumatic. It was uprooting, little notice, no notice, and none of the wives enjoyed that process and that transition. So why are we trying to bring that into this move?
I think he's trying to make a point that they made that decision in a rush and that they were moving into exile, that they were going somewhere where it wasn't really an ideal choice, but it was convenient and they thought that they would be accepting of them there. So that's where they fled to. Now it's time to think about where our long-term future is going to be.
See, for me, it just feels like realities are setting in and Kody needs to distract himself from his own thoughts again. So it's time to pick up and move everything.
Well, that's what happens every time he has to move.
Because that's kind of been the system that they've been working in currently.
We've only seen them move once. They have moved many, 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 many times before.
I mean, technically, there were a couple of moves in that move because they moved to rentals in Vegas and then around. So it's deceptively more moves than you would ever imagine. But that was just the ones that they filmed. And then, yeah, there was a ton before that. They did go down the whole list here. But I thought it was strange that Kody went immediately to, well, our adult kids are moving out soon, so let's leave them before they can leave us.
That was such a narc thing to say. They're going to have no value to us once they leave us. So why are we hinging our future on them? But of course, we all know Robin's kids are never going to leave them.
Well, yeah.
Some of the kids are going to leave.
This is where we get into some oddly specific examples where Ari is 2 and Kody is 50. So that means that by the time she graduates college, Cody's going to be 72. So we have to come up with a financial plan for us that will take care of us all the way up into Cody's retirement.
He needs money for the tenders. That's what his mind is on right now.
And he's seeing dollar signs all over the cul-de-sac, and he wants to cash grab, cash out, and run.
That brings us to his rationality. That was the title of one of these slides. Not rationale, rationality. They bought low. They need to sell high. It's a seller's market. There's a low interest rate environment for mortgages right now. There's not a better time to strike.
I feel like this is just another step towards bankruptcy. Just we're working our way down the list. They're kicking the can down the road a little bit further, but just from the numbers that he was pulling up and that he was running through when he's going through the home price index per square foot and he's calculating out how much money they're going to make in these houses, he was talking about 7 figures, the low 7 figures of profit. That's not profit. You have to pay off the houses, the amount that you still owe. So that's a cost. You have to subtract that out to close those out.
You have to pay the bank back.
You are
for
paying
what
the
you
bank.
Still have not paid off yet.
Hopefully you're doing that. Otherwise, you're going to have bigger problems.
No one else questioned that. Even Janelle, who's been a real estate agent. That's concerning.
Even Robin, with the pluses and the minuses, she left the minuses out.
So you said that he's calculating an estimated $169 per square foot.
Right. It's where the 6 and the 9.
I know. He and Robin exchanged a glance.
Yes.
Just want to note that they sell at an average of $143 per square foot.
Because we have the benefit of seeing a little bit further down the line here, because time has passed and we are able to see how terrible this decision actually was in the long run.
Do you want me to go over the figures where we ended up?
Oh boy. Yeah. Even just high level.
Mm-hmm. Well, they bought for $1.77 million. That's total, all 4 houses. They sold for $2.29 million, which means they made less than $515,000.
So my math might be off. $500,000 is not the low 7 figures though, right?
No, and as we know, they're going to take this money and turn around and buy Coyote Pass, which cost them almost $900,000. And then they're going to buy Robin a house, which is $900,000. They bought Christine a house, which was over $500,000. So it's not a mystery how they didn't have any money to pay off Janelle's lot so that she could build on it. The math ain't mathin'.
It's just amazing to me that they would look at this and say, oh, wow, we would be able to sell this for millions of dollars. We need to sell this, and not take into account all of the other costs that are associated with that selling, because now you have been displaced. Now you do not have a home where you live.
They moved to a place with a higher cost of living.
And you bought land without a house on it that you're going to have to build from the ground up.
It's just all very confusing. It doesn't make sense. I mean, we know how it ended up, so we have the benefit of hindsight. But just looking at the story in the slides, there are red flags that don't really make a whole lot of sense.
Even that, just that claim alone, I would say throw this out. This is a terrible idea, because if you're basing all of our decisions on the fact that we're going to have $2 million in the bank to play with at the end of this, when we sell these houses, you are gravely mistaken.
Maybe he was bringing up Utah because he wanted them to reminisce on the good times there, because he does tell them about how he had this interest in running for office, that they'd move back to Utah. He would run for office so he could bully the legislature. But he's going to put that to bed because he knows that they don't really want to do that. Like, sir, do you know how much money it costs to run for office?
I don't think he has that in the budget. Yeah, at all.
That's how much money they're going to make off these houses. That would make it possible. I got to say, that is the biggest missed storyline on this show.
Oh, Kody's ad campaign on his campaign trail for Utah.
You know what? You could continue this show if you had him do that.
I could see Robin wanting to be a politician's wife. She does have Nancy Reagan throat goat energy. Emphasis on the throat, not the goat.
Oh, God. Maybe that's what the matching outfits were all about. Is Kody launching his bid for office from Bennigan's?
I hope it's not. I hope his campaign isn't run like his businesses, because he's trying to figure out what's the best thing to do with this big lump sum of money that they're going to get from selling all these houses, because honestly, their businesses cost them a lot of money sometimes, is what Kody is telling the wives. If your business is costing you money, close the business. If you're not making money...
Or use it for tax write-offs, remember? That's what something. Robin was like, hey, I saved you a lot of money last year.
I helped.
I contributed.
My contribution, my plus is a minus. But, so just, I cannot understand how many people can come up with so many bad ideas and just continue to run with them. Run them into the ground, through the ground, and keep going.
I would love to have that kind of confidence, but I just don't have it in me.
I can't do it yet. To just assume that everything's going to work out when clearly it is not.
Well, it helps when you have destiny on your side.
Look, Janelle, at the end of the day, money is a number in a bank account, and it doesn't mean nothing to her if her kids are going to be upset. So she just wants to make sure that her kids are going to be okay. Not only her kids, biological kids, Gwen, Gabe, and Aurora, the triplets, are all coming into their junior year. So if they do this, if they're selling houses by the end of the next year, they would be pulling those kids out their senior years. That really uprooted Logan in a really bad way. They did that to him on the Vegas move because they were forced into that. So that's not going to be good.
The presentation didn't land the way Kody thought it would. Janelle... He gave Janelle IBS.
He really did. He really did.
She's like, my stomach hurts.
Hurry up. Put this on fast forward because I got to go to the bathroom.
We got concerns. We got concerns about Gabe. All of a sudden, Christine remembers that Gwen's running for class historian. These kids have made a life for themselves here. They have futures that they're planning on. They're getting to the point in high school where you're thinking about what you're going to be doing next. And we're going to start all over again?
This is where Kody takes a time out here when we're back from commercial break, that he did all of this. He built out this whole poster board presentation here to prove that he's not insane. I don't think he's insane. I think he's an idiot, and I think he's out of touch. This just shows how out of touch he is. He has no idea what's going on in his kids' lives.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't know anything about that.
The wives are bringing up all of these different things.
But Dayton's got to go to college. He knows about that. Wasn't it interesting that the only thing Robin points out is that they're probably going to have to move into rentals again?
Oh, that's a big downgrade for her.
Well, she's already angling to get a house. We're going to have to move into these rentals. We're going to be far away from each other. But the only other time she speaks up, she's just reinforcing the narrative about the need for financial security. You can tell by paying attention closely that she and Kody are already on the same page, because Robin is always the first one to vocalize concerns about how things are going to affect her kids, and she doesn't do that here. And we also know that she's historically been very anti-moving.
Very much so, yeah. But instead we have Janelle and Christine, who are trying to protect their kids from the move. And then Robin is being very quiet until she starts mentioning, well, if that means financial stability for the future, though, I guess we should do that.
And Meri's just trying to protect herself because she's over here getting accused of already owning a house in Utah.
Well, Cody's just jealous that she owns a house in Utah, that she's already one step ahead of him in his plan.
100% is. He is. These two people despise one another, and he is so incredibly irked by the fact that she got a house in Utah before he did.
Well, the fact that he's winding down towards the end of his presentation, he's trying to get to the selling point where Christine understands, okay, you're trying to tell us that we have to sell the houses, and we have to sell the houses now. That's the point of this presentation, but you want us to say it because if you say it, then it's something that's being forced upon us. But if we're saying it, it's a conclusion that we've reached on our own. So it's kind of manipulative, a little bit, to say the least. Cody's trying to say it's not Utah. You just have to think up, imagine your own special place where you want to live. Where's your happy place? Just think about that.
Like the B&B, Meri.
You know, like how you already live in Utah. You're already there. You're halfway there. Meri got so upset when they said that, too, because she was like, are you serious?
Well, when he acted like it was the first time she's ever clarified that she doesn't live in a house in Utah.
When we have watched it for so many episodes just this season.
He truly does not listen when she starts talking.
Not at all.
They kind of shift the conversation to timing because Cody's making it very clear that we're going to have to do this quickly. We have to take advantage of the state of the market. This is March of 2018 is what we can estimate here. And he's showing us, he's got a very official looking graph where there's going to be a steep cutoff. The market is just going to crash once we get beyond this point. It's not going to gradually come back down. It's not going to ebb and flow. We're going to miss the opportunity to sell these houses and get as much money out of them as we possibly can.
And then we'll be stuck forever. Yeah, that was a hand-drawn graph, though, that he was illustrating.
I know it was.
So that was showing the peak of where the market was and then a straight line down because Kody knows the market.
That was a Sharpie special.
It was his own interpretation of what the market is doing. I think my favorite slide out of the whole presentation, though, hands down, was just the big block letter ones that said, our next chapter. Let's start now. Where it was just like a direct copy and paste from a timeshare pitch. Like, has to be part of that exact sales deck that was already being used for something else.
They're all coming to the realization that if we want to get the triplets into school so that they have 2 years in their high school remaining, then we're going to have to move in 5 months.
Get them enrolled in a different school in who knows where, some other state, probably, maybe.
Wherever the hell we're going.
By August.
We have to figure out where we're going, find places for all 4 of us, list our houses, successfully sell them, and be set up in these new schools by August.
See, this is where Robin is the devil's advocate. because she's saying, yeah, well, financial stability though. And well, I need to know where I'm going to be applying, where Dayton needs to be applying for colleges. I just think it's interesting where Kody's urgency is to sell the houses because of the market. Robin then reinforces that urgency by saying, well, I need to know where Dayton needs to be applying for colleges so that way we can provide that support system. It's wherever we're going, he will be doing college there. It's two different reasons, but they're going in the same direction.
Mm-hmm. Yet nobody realizes they're being manipulated.
She's not fully agreeing with Kody, but she is.
And they agree on more than one thing, because Kody's talking about how living in Vegas sucks. Nice place to visit, not as nice a place to live. And Meri and Janelle and Christine are like, I don't know. I kind of like it here. They've been really accepting of us. It's been really easy moving here. We've got these beautiful houses that we thought we would never live in. Like, I don't see the bad part about it. And then we get Robin's opinion. She doesn't like it here. What a surprise.
Wow. Yeah. Which then she flips on later when she's talking to the wives when they're planning their Seattle trip. When we see that in the next scene. So stay tuned for that, because she's going to completely change her tune in just one scene.
I guess Vegas has always been a terrible place to raise children because her mom sacrificed to make sure that she and her siblings lived in St. George, even though her dad and the rest of their family lived in Vegas, because her mom didn't want her to go to school and grow up in Vegas. And yet here she is living her mother's nightmare.
So is this just Robin's way to recreate her own childhood, where she's just going to leave Meri in Vegas to make the money, and then the family is going to go live wherever they decide to live? Secretly wishes it was St. George, but knows that it can't be St. George because it is in Utah, the least friendly state in the union.
Maybe Kody can run for office and they can change some of the state lines.
Easier said than done. In most cases. You know what I think it was? I think Kody got sick of driving back and forth for all of these weddings in Utah, and he was like, let's just fucking move there. I have had it.
I'm putting too many miles on the car.
This is ridiculous.
Robin had a better closer than Kody did, because she's telling them, look, I see the writing on the wall. If this is the time, we can't say it's not. The faster, the better, in my opinion.
Again, pushing the urgency of make this impulse decision. Don't think about it too much. Just know that if we don't do it now, we're going to miss our opportunity and it's going to be terrible.
Wasn't it kind of odd that we know it's March? They talked about it being March. And she's still trying to figure out where Dayton's going to apply to college. Aren't college applications usually due like December and January?
Yeah, usually you're getting acceptance letters around March and April.
Right.
When you get accepted to places that you've already applied.
So that seems odd. I mean, you can apply late to places.
Sure. And I'm sure Robin does a lot of things late.
Oh no, Kody, we missed the application date. I don't know what kind of accent that was. You haven't done the Wisconsin? Robin voice in a while.
It's sprinkled in.
Okay.
You know, it's in there.
Why don't you give us Robin missing an application deadline?
Oh, I thought I turned this in. They forgot to put the stamp on it again. I asked Mindy to do it for me and she did.
Mindy does a lot of stuff.
Mindy's got enough on her plate. She can't be sending around college applications too.
They got to wrap this conversation up. Janelle can't handle it anymore. So
she's like regretting allowing this to happen in her living room.
For real, we're at her house.
This is a problem. Yeah, she did not realize what she was agreeing to.
Thank God she's near a bathroom, because I think she really needed it.
It's true.
She tells Kody, I will pray as you have requested, but I am not going to go in with the intention of the answer being, we're going to move and where we're going. It's going to be, should we or shouldn't we? I'm not praying with the outcome already predetermined, like when you made us pray about Robin joining the family.
Right, yeah. We already knew the ending to that one. But yeah, she's trying to keep the door open for staying. Let's consider staying, because you're saying move, sell the houses now, sell it. Because Christine had even said that too. What if we have a different staging area, because if we sell these houses and then we have to move somewhere, we're not going to have a set place. It's not going to be built. We're going to have to wait for things to get completed here, wherever we're going, wherever that is. So why don't we just stage in Vegas and keep things consistent with what the kids are already doing?
This brings up an interesting point. Why did Kody wait so long to bring this up to them, to make this presentation? Why is he doing it with less than 6 months to go until they have to be somewhere?
5. They have to be
5
enrolled.
months, less than 6 months.
They have to be enrolled in a school and sell 4 houses in 5 months.
It just seems incredibly unrealistic. So it's not like the market suddenly peaked. It didn't just suddenly go up.
There were a lot of other social things that were happening around that time. There had just been the Las Vegas shooting that happened at the end of 2017 at the Mandalay Bay, which I'm sure Kody was freaked out about gun laws changing, even though he doesn't do his business in Nevada.
I've always questioned, that's been a theory for a long time. I think the more likely answer would be that Robin got really freaked out by that.
That was too close for Robin. I don't know if moving away fixes that problem that you have now. So that's a problem.
The timing is just suspect because that happened in October of 2017. In this presentation, he is quoting square footage from November of 2017, the following month. And then he sat and waited to give this presentation until perhaps college applications started coming back in. And now we're in a rush to convince everyone that we have to get up and leave. It doesn't really make a lot of sense that you're going to say, we need to have a well-planned move. This is our opportunity. But it doesn't seem well-planned.
I think it took Kody at least 4 months to put these slides together.
All 6 slides?
Yes. Yes, absolutely yes.
He didn't even run spell check on them.
He didn't know what the blue squiggly lines underneath everything meant. He only knows the red squigglies.
I have a secret. I used to struggle with dull, saggy skin. Then I found Spoiled Child's E27 liquid collagen. This extra strength liquid formula, packed with type 1 and type 3 collagen, vitamin C, and hyaluronic acid, makes it so easy to visibly transform your skin and hair. No more chunky collagen powders, just a smooth, delicious liquid that can be blended with any drink. With over 100,000 5-star reviews, this liquid collagen is going viral for a reason. And with their try before you buy offer, you could try your full-size product at home before buying. Take the quiz at spoiledchild.com/quiz. That's spoiledchild.com/quiz. Explaining football to the friend who's just there for the nachos? Hard. Tailgating from home like a pro with snacks and drinks everyone will love? An easy win. And with Instacart helping deliver the snack time MVPs to your door, you're ready for the game in as fast as 30 minutes. So you never miss a play or lose your seat on the couch or have to go head-to-head for the last chicken wing. Shop Game Day faves on Instacart and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 grocery orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Other fees and terms apply.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot. We charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Jewelry isn't a gift you give just once. It's a way to remind your loved one of a beautiful moment every time they see it. Blue Nile can help you find the gift that says how you feel and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com to find the perfect jewelry gift for any occasion. BlueNile.com.
Bombas presents unsolicited gifting advice. Number 1, if they say not to get them anything, get them something. 2, underwear is a great gift, just not for your boss. And 3, those absurdly soft Bombas socks and slippers you've been eyeing for yourself, they'll love those. And the fact that for every item you purchase, another is donated to someone who needs it, they'll love that even more.
Go to bombas.com/ACAST and use code ACAST for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/ACAST, code ACAST.
We're going to take a break from that. Not really, though, because we're going to talk about it again, as we do throughout this entire episode. They try to make us think that we're going to have this trip to Seattle that is going to be this breath of fresh air to get away from the stress of thinking about moving. But we're going to talk about moving the entire time. I guess Janelle had her bathroom break, and now everyone is regrouping at the kitchen table, minus Kody.
Just the wives, yeah. Because allegedly we're going to set up our itinerary for visiting Seattle to go to Hannah's hat shop, Mitch's mom.
Hannah is Mitch's mom, and she's going to make hats for them to wear to the wedding. Even though I guess it's not a requirement, but they thought it would be a fun thing to do, even though they hate her hats.
But first, let's recap our own convo that just happened a moment ago.
We're getting little moments where we can see that things have already started to fall apart between Christine and Kody, because she teased this whole thing up on the couch, talking about how she's afraid to speak up too much because it could hurt her marriage.
She doesn't want to move, but she also doesn't want to rock the boat. That's her concern. She doesn't want to put herself in bad standing with Kody any more than she already is.
I have a feeling someone else is feeling like that at the table, and her name is Meri.
Well, I think Meri was kind of on the same page, too, because basically she's saying it's the timeline. It's the immediacy of all of this. That's what's not working for Meri.
Going back to your earlier point, Robin is acting like she doesn't want to move. She's starting to backtrack her comments from earlier.
Well, she's just heard three wives in a row say that they're not in favor of this move. So now she has to get on the same page with them. So she's like, well, I don't want to move either. And she's trying to slip in the verbiage, too, of saying, please stop saying when we move. Please still continue to treat it as if we move.
And she's really letting them lead a lot of the conversation, because they start thinking about, well, where could we go? St. George. Suddenly, St. George is a great place. I don't know what happened. Christine really changed her opinion pretty quickly.
Well, this is where Meri got so confused, too, was she's saying, okay, well, if the boundary that we don't want to cross is the Utah state border, if we don't want to live there and we can't live in St. George, we live in Las Vegas right now, which is 2 hours away from St. George. It's pretty darn close. So if you don't want to live in Utah, but you want to be close to St. George, I think we've already found that place. We're living here. We are here.
She is the only one with half a brain cell in this conversation.
She's making more and more sense about, do not move.
Easy for you to say, Meri. You already own a house in Utah.
You already have your escape plan, Meri. We're trying to figure ours out as we're making it up as we go along.
Robin does talk about how she doesn't like Vegas. This wasn't an aside, though, right? It wasn't at the table.
She is all over the place because she's talking about how Vegas isn't home, and she had said that multiple times in front of Kody to make that reinforce his stance of Vegas is a great place to visit, not a great place to live, according to Kody Brown. But then Robin, in her side interview, reluctantly agrees, well, Vegas is home, but it doesn't check everything off the list.
It's not the kind of place she envisions herself retiring.
And my question as we watched, Carly, was retiring from what?
You have to have worked before you retire.
I would say that's a prerequisite to retirement.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of, I just want to sit on a porch with my sister wives. That is the future she wants for herself. I am so beyond convinced that the one big house on this piece of property with the big porch, watching the grandkids.
And Kody running around like a dog.
Exactly. This whole move is about what Robin wants for her future.
Because
securing Robin's future.
Oh, yeah. Because Meri had even called that out. She was like, well, if you're saying it's the closeness to St. George, but also not in Utah, that sounds like here. You're describing here. And then that was where Robin had to be like, well, no, I would sacrifice the closeness of St. George to go somewhere else because I don't like Vegas. But then also, I do like Vegas. Vegas is home, kind of, but it's not perfect home. I'm looking for perfect home.
The only real point she ever gives about why she doesn't want to live here anymore is that the schools have been changing.
I don't know what that means.
There are more disciplinary problems. She did say that. She elaborated slightly. And that the kids are being exposed to things.
Don't all the kids go to the same school?
Yeah. I mean, the same schools. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, like...
But she's the only one who has an issue with what's going on. Is that your point, Corey?
I think that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. Like, why hasn't Janelle and Christine jumped on board with like, yeah, things are getting out of control. Things are getting scary.
I don't know, because they also have children who are in the same grades.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Janelle has Savannah, who's in the same exact grade as Brianna, and Gabe, who's the same age as Aurora.
Exactly.
And Christine has Gwen, who's the same age as Gabe and Aurora. So I feel like they should all be on the same page about the downward spiral of the Vegas public school system, if that's actually what the issue is here. But I don't think that's the issue. So it's just strange that that's the excuse. That's the reasoning that she's coming up with. And that's what she keeps coming back to.
Well, that and the vagary of it just doesn't feel like home.
That I don't know how to fix. That one is a mystery. Home is where the children are, according to Robin. So it was starting to feel like maybe we received an acceptance letter from a school in Arizona where Dayton is thinking about going. And Robin already made extensive emphasis on the fact that she needs to be there for Dayton's transition to college life, adult life, out on his own.
The only thing I question is I think that Kody would have pushed Flagstaff as this amazing place had he known already. She could know that she has applications out and they're waiting on letters back from places not in Vegas.
I think he knew if he started in on a specific place, they weren't going to go for it. So he has to pose
Ease them into it.
Well, yeah, and he has to boil the frog here. He has to let them think up, what is your dream scenario? What is your Graceland? What does your promised land look like? Write that out on a list, and then I will find you something that checks off every single box on your list. I guarantee it. Because guess what? He's going to shoehorn all of those things into Flagstaff, Arizona.
That's true. That's how he writes a presentation.
He works his way back, which actually is not a bad way to do it. But the way he's doing it and the way he's going about it, he did that with every single wife, though. Because I feel like Janelle is our holdout wife here. She did not want to do this move, but then he found the land. He sold her on the idea. He sold her the dream of her grow operation and having all of this available resources to the family for her to utilize in that way to fulfill that dream and live that dream. He promised Christine more time at her house because that's what she needed to hear to sell her house and put that house on the market. He promised Meri a fresh new start as soon as they moved. He gave everybody the lip service that they needed in order to put their houses on the market.
Mm-hmm. That's precisely what happened, Corey.
Succinctly.
They do get off of this topic and finally talk about this trip, although it's mostly gossiping about Hannah. They got a big thing about her liking the word fabulous.
Christine specifically.
How did they latch onto that, but nobody latched onto delicious?
From Pat? Yeah, Pat and Hannah getting together for some hat stuff.
Hat stuff?
That'd be, well, that's something.
Sounded dirty. At a Parisian restaurant. And then Hannah says, this is fabulous. And Pat says, it's delicious.
Delicious.
And that's the whole conversation back and forth.
The issue is that they would have to be doing something not related to food. So it would be a hat that Hannah would be providing for fitting.
Because we can't have delicious in context.
Well, yeah, that was the... That's the uncomfortable part for me, was when Pat would use it in a non-food context.
We get some background on Hannah. Christine has known her since they've been children. She was friends with Hannah's sibling, and she was part of their church, but never lived polygamy. She only had one husband, one wife, and then she got rid of him because they've been divorced for 20 years.
Well, she only had one husband. She was the wife. One husband, one wife. Careful how you surmise that a little bit. You kind of gloss
Did you
over.
notice they avoid using the word divorced? She left him.
Left him 20 years ago. Yeah, Janelle still won't use the word divorce.
Well, see, maybe it's
except for her first one.
They're not clear on how you get divorced in their church.
Yeah, it's very confusing for a polygamist to go through that process.
Robin should have asked her if she got divorced.
By banging another dude?
The
yeah.
official way. Mm-hmm.
If she got it the fabulous way.
Speaking of Robin, she's not into the hat thing.
I like how we are teeing it up where Robin's not really comfortable with the hat situation here. And she's asking if they have to wear the hats. Are we just wearing these? Are we getting fitted for hats because it's a fun thing to do and because TLC is going to pay for us to go to Seattle? Or are we actually picking out hats that we're going to wear to the wedding? Because that's what I'm concerned about, is the aesthetics of the wedding day.
Which is not mine. Not my wedding.
Christine has to reassure her, no, this is just for fun. Don't worry about it. It's not a forced thing.
Just try the hat on. Have a little fun. Kick back, Robin.
We're not planning a hat affair here at the wedding. Aspyn has not made that request. But again, we have the benefit of hindsight here. They end up wearing hats. So you better pick one that you're pretty fond of.
You really like. Where are those hats today?
I hope they're back at Hannah's shop.
Me too. I hope they returned them. They didn't just toss them in the garbage like McKelty's bouquets.
If you're not going to appreciate it.
The realest part of this episode was when Janelle was like, look, I love you guys, but you need to get out because I need to put my fuzzy socks on and I need to go disassociate while I watch TV for a little while in bed.
For the rest of the day. That's me. That's me on the episode. There I am.
I would have liked watching them do that. They just joke about it. They won't sit on each other's beds. They won't even go in each other's rooms.
Yeah, that goes weird.
The dining room table is enough.
It would be weird to kind of Willy Wonka it up in Janelle's room with all four wives watching TV.
I'm entertained by the thought. We have to go wedding dress shopping. They stuck this in this episode, even though it didn't really feel like it fit.
Whoa. Oh, my.
I mean, I guess the rest of the episode is them going to Seattle for the purpose of obtaining hats for Aspyn's wedding, so...
Even though Christine just told Robin that's not why they're going to Seattle, but secretly, that is why they're going to Seattle. But the wedding dress shopping, we got a good crowd, a good group coming along here. We got Maddie and Axel, of course, because he can't drive. Robin, Christine, and Hannah. So I feel like Aspyn's got the A-team here.
You know, it's funny. My brain automatically corrected that to Saul when we were watching.
Baby Saul? Yes. We always have to have a baby at the wedding dress shopping.
Of course, baby Saul came with Robin. She can't travel without baby Saul.
She almost didn't travel without baby Ari this episode. First night away. We'll talk about it.
The wedding is June 17th.
So happy anniversary, belated.
Oh, yeah. We're a little late.
We just missed it.
Oops.
Well, we probably said it before Kody said it, so.
She's interested in a dress with long sleeves. That seems dangerous. Long sleeves and an open back. You know what that says to me? Back sweat.
Ooh.
June 17th?
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be hit with a hot day. You're going to be outside. Sounds risky to me.
Perspiration. Well, Mitch is wearing a kilt, so I think he'll be comfortable.
He's going to be well ventilated.
Very much so. I liked that the editing team was brave enough to drop in a music cue of bagpipes at the mention of a kilt for about 2 seconds, and then just hard cut away from that and continue on with the wedding dress shopping like it never even happened.
I have a feeling we're going to hear them quite frequently leading up to the wedding.
And it's like, you can drop that in for that moment, but you have to do a little bit of work around it, fade it out, make it reach the conclusion of that song, do something. But to just drop it in for those few shots where you're mentioning kilts in the verbiage.
This is a classic TLC thing. They do it all the time on 90 Day the Other Way. They love to use music from other places and use it in the most stereotypical fashion. It is the Learning Network channel.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't work there. Fuck them. Who needs them?
Where are we? Oh, Hannah, at one point, coolest mother-in-law ever, looks at Aspyn and is like, if you don't find a dress here, I'll take you to Paris. You can shop there.
Yeah, because she just happens to be going to Paris next month.
I would have been like,
why are we here?
I hate everything here. I think I'm going to have to go to Paris.
I think that's something that we're just going to have to do then. Might be out of budget, though.
You don't think TLC will pay for that?
Based on the place where we're shopping for this one, this seems like a direct-to-consumer sort of arrangement here. That's what's going on. So we got a couple of dresses that we're going to pop on here. Dress number 1, Christine picked it out, so you know it's going to be meh. I would not trust Christine's dress-picking abilities. We've seen photos of her wedding.
She didn't really pick that. Her mom made it, and she kind of just had to wear it.
She just kind of existed in it.
Yeah, that is how it went.
The Gladwear stretch flex.
I didn't take any notes on this dress. Do you recall it at all? It was just meh. She didn't love it.
You know what I took note of was Christine and Robin cracking jokes on the couch about the next time we marry Kody, we're going to do a fabulous dress with the long train and the walking down the aisle, because those are all things that you don't get to do in a polygamist wedding, which we did see at Christine's next wedding, but it was to David. It wasn't to Kody again. So maybe we'll see Robin's vow renewal gown.
I'm telling you, I smell that as a storyline. What else are they going to film?
They're going to get desperate.
They're going to have to do a vow renewal. Third time's a charm. They already had a vow renewal.
Yeah. But that was about it for dress number 1. Yeah, she looks like a Grecian goddess.
Wasn't that the third one?
No, that was the first one.
Okay.
I think. But the second dress. Ooh, the second dress.
She loves it. It's an early favorite. It is a crisp white satin A-line dress with an open back. And it has pockets to top it all off.
There it is. Who picked this one, though? Was this a Hannah pick? It felt like a Hannah pick.
I don't know if they mentioned it.
I don't know if they said it directly, but she was talking specifically about the satin when she came out in it. So I feel like maybe Hannah had a pick.
Perhaps. The problem is Aspyn's looking in the mirror. She loves it. But she's starting to wonder if she's going to please all the people that she wants to please with this dress.
Keeping other people's opinions in mind is Aspyn's curse.
She is a people pleaser.
Very much so.
She's just sweet like that, according to Robin. Keeping it sweet.
I feel like this might have been another one of those red flag moments for people when they were first watching the series and they didn't know Mitch yet. And you're hearing this secondhand from Aspyn. It makes it sound like Mitch was making that request. I think Mitch had probably mumbled that in passing, and Aspyn held on to it because she was like, I don't get a lot of opinions from Mitch. So the one little thing that he has mentioned is that he would prefer that I cover up, and not cover up in the sense of head to toe covered in material, but just avoiding like a plunging neckline sort of deal, which I feel like
this dress did not have that.
That was not the case here at all. But
there was no cleavage.
No. But so I think that was the basis of Mitch's request was, hey, let's not go that route. But he wasn't saying from a strict stance, but we're hearing it from Aspyn's lens, from her filter, where she was taking that into large consideration for this.
She's not really sold because of that. So she decides to try another dress on. And this was the dress that she picked out before she ever came into the store. She said, this is what I'd like you to pull for me. I want to try it on.
That was dress number 4. There was a dress.
There was another one?
There was a dress number 3 in between that was so meh. Nobody said anything, and she ran back and changed out of it again. So that's how quick it was.
I must have looked down at my nose and missed it.
Yes, it was literally that fast. So yeah, dress number 4. It was nothing to write home about.
No, she's realizing maybe I went into this wanting something much different than actually looks good on me and that I like. So get me out of this. Put me back in dress number 2.
Well, dress number 4 looked very toga.
It did. That's when I thought you said Grecian.
Oh, yeah. No, it looked like a toga with some accents.
It looked more like a bridesmaid's dress if it was a different color.
And casual. I think that was what she was saying too, is it's too dressed down and we don't want to do that. She wants it to be a little bit more elegant, a more elevated affair here.
She would look very mismatched standing next to Mitch in a kilt. In that dress.
I think
dress
so.
Number 4.
Yes, very much so. So it's back to dress number 2. Confirmed. Got the veil. We got the earrings. It's a go. You can still see her arms. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. Let it happen, Aspyn.
Finally, we can get to the trip that we've all been anticipating. It is time to head out to Seattle, which means Kody's staying behind and he's got to take care of the kids.
He has no idea where the wives are going, but they are going somewhere, and he's taking them to the airport to go to that place wherever it is they're going. Just like where they're moving. Who knows? It's a mystery.
I'm surprised he wasn't jealous that they were going to see Hannah.
Oh, yeah, because he wanted to dance with Hannah.
He was been flirting it up with her every time that they've been in the same room together.
Yeah, but she lives in Seattle, Portland, those liberal cities. He can't wrap his mind around up there. But Kody's holding down the fort. The wives don't have anything to worry about. I hope they left him with some Pediasure, some Gatorade, everything he'll need. Fire extinguisher for the steaks on the grill.
Christine's trying to tell him everything he could possibly need to remember about how to run her household because he does not come here, so he doesn't know anything about the goings-on there.
But we get a preview of Kody from future seasons where he whips out his phone and he's just playing Temple Run or doing something on there.
He's texting someone. He's laughing. He's reading things and laughing as she's trying to give him instructions on things he's going to need to do. Because he's not going to do them. And we learn that because as she's trying to explain how to pack lunch for Truly, he asks if Peyton can do it. Does Peyton know how to do it? Okay.
Cool. That's one thing off my list. I hope that she kept, hydrate the children. I hope that was a note, a top note. Feed and water the children. Daily, please.
You know who doesn't have to give any instructions to Kody? Robin.
Yeah, Robin is listing off all of the ways that Kody is such a great dad because he's so great with her kids. He knows how to do everything at her house. Yeah, because he's there all the fucking time.
True. Does he, though? Because we learned that Mindy is there, and Mindy is going to be there the whole time. This also upset me because when he was over at Christine's house, he brought up that he was going to be doing mornings at Robin's, yet Mindy is here. Is Mindy not here in the morning?
Nope, she is too. It's just he's helping out with Saul and Ari during the morning. So Mindy's got Ari, and then he's helping Saul get ready in the morning. So he'll be bouncing back and forth between the houses in the morning, because that's fair.
Why though, sir?
I feel like it was just another way to devalue Christine's experience because Robin's saying, well, Kody's a great dad for my kids. Kody is a great dad. And that's where Christine has been trying to say for all these years, yes, the problem is I get to see Kody be a wonderful husband and a loving father to Robin's kids all the time. And then he doesn't provide that for me and my kids. So that's where the disconnect is.
Yet they will not acknowledge that it's unequal. They won't acknowledge that part of it.
Right. Yeah. And they're saying, well, no, I get that side of him. So it is real and you're crazy.
You're just not seeing it.
Yeah, you're missing it.
When he's at your house, you're not paying close enough attention. This part was disturbing when Robin is talking about not having Ari come with her. She has not traveled since Ari's been born. They've never spent a night apart. And Ari sleeps on top of her. Not just in the same bed. Sleeps horizontally across her.
Draped across her, yeah.
But also in a fashion that attempts to asphyxiate her over the night.
Maybe that's the plan.
I'm sorry, but a toddler weighs too much to be sleeping on your throat.
I mean,
I know she gets a lot of air.
I was going to say if anybody can handle it, Robin's your girl. But I wouldn't recommend it.
Janelle has no instructions for Kody because she's just got Gabe and Savannah at home and they're basically self-sufficient at this point. They can grab their own Pedialyte out of the refrigerator.
That's good. Yeah, that's one less thing on the list. Watch out for parties, though, because Gabe and Savannah, they might throw a party or two. So Cody's got to watch out for that.
Savannah. Savannah would never do such a thing.
Savannah would throw a reading party. a Harry Potter
book club.
Yeah, a Harry Potter watch party.
And shockingly, Kody does ask Meri if she needs anything while he's gone.
I don't think this was a serious ask.
No.
I believe this was a joke in passing that Meri took him up on, and he regretted it immediately after saying it.
To be fair, she asked him to do one thing. Just look out the window across the cul-de-sac and make sure that all of the boxes that I have set up here for the postman to take, the postman? Who's that?
Postman?
The post office to pick up. Check that they took those. They probably will. There's a 99.9% chance they will.
Meri, that's a lot for me to take on. So maybe just text me and remind me too, because I'm not going to have any mental space to process that request.
That's shitty. She asked for one thing, and he's like, you're going to have to remind me about that.
Remind me again, because I'm not going to hold space for this.
The wives land in Seattle, and it is time to go out to lunch.
Well, yeah, we're going to have a precursor lady lunch before our hat lunch lady lunch.
How many times in this episode does Janelle mention she hates going out to lunch unless it involves traveling and being in a different city?
At least 3 times. And I think I'm mixing it up too, because she had all of these exact same reactions on their Chicago trip in season 14 as well. Same exact lines.
We're
same.
very clear. Do you think that was a desperate call to the producers to secure more funding for trips?
It must be. Yeah, she was winding down, circling the drain here.
They continue to talk about moving, because why wouldn't we talk about that yet again? Because we hate each other and we don't want to talk about anything else. So let's talk about this.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to move because Christine just put down roots. I mean, she literally just planted her garden. So she's, because that's what Janelle is, #TomatoGate. Her garden is all disrupted by these moving plans, because what's even the point? Getting her garden in the ground.
This is the problem when the wives get together and there's no Kody around. They start making sense. They're talking logistics now. We got to move into a school district. That's the school district we're going to stay in. If the whole point is to get the kids into a school for 2 years, that makes it complicated. A lot more complicated than just sell the houses in 5 months and find a staging area.
And this is where Christine thought of the bright idea for, why don't we stage in Vegas? We can sell the houses in Vegas, actualize on those multi-million-dollar profits that we're talking about, and then just rent someplace for a little bit longer until we get something built where we actually want to go. Maybe that would even take 2 years, a couple of years, and our kids who are close to graduating could graduate, and then we could shift over for the next set of kids.
Better idea. How about I just don't move at all with you guys?
Oh, that is a good idea. Second thought. Intrusive thought.
If you all don't want to do that, I'm in favor of it. So maybe I'll just sell my house and get my profit, and I'll rent, and you guys can all go wherever you're going to go. And eventually I'll follow.
Because,
or not.
Well, yeah, maybe. It's a trial separation here. But Christine has to run this trial through Gwen, because Gwen won class treasurer. But that also proves the point that Christine can't keep her fucking story straight, because I thought Gwen was running for class historian.
Maybe she ran for 2 things.
Is that a different role?
It feels different.
Treasurer
very different.
And historian seems like 2 different roles, 2 different titles. I'm starting to feel like Christine isn't being completely honest with the scenario here, because she's basically saying, I don't want to pull Gwen out of this scenario because it will absolutely shatter her self-confidence. She worked so hard. She put herself out there in this electoral space. I don't know if she's realizing that maybe that has sparked some jealousy within Kody, because that is putting Kody's political career on a back burner. Very well could be.
This had to have been her first attempt at exiting the family.
And Kody said no, so she went, all right.
I'm pretty sure he said no to Janelle also, and she did it anyway.
In the Wyoming one? Yeah. Well, I think she had a career at that point where she had a job that she didn't want to leave. And so that was kind of the big
so it was a better excuse?
Oh, that was a better excuse. Yeah, that's income, baby. Income. She's in for the income, not the outcome.
I wanted the family, not the man.
Oh, yeah. Well, these are a lot of scenes where we get to see Christine's facade on full display, where she's spending a lot of time trying to convince us, mostly herself, though, that she's agreeing to a lot of Kody's very stupid ideas. And they make sense, partially because of religious principles. And she's bound to this stupid man.
She's insufferable. Watching her whole voice, the tone, everything she says feels so fake and inauthentic. And watching it back, it's even more obvious. It's not good. Meri's starting to warm up to the idea of being able to choose where they end up this time. So she's starting to get sold on this idea. And then Christine and Janelle, they're finding the idea of downsizing, maybe having a smaller house appealing. We know Bet Meri doesn't find that appealing. But Christine and Janelle are considering that.
Yeah, well, Meri and Christine haven't needed bedrooms in a long, long time, if you know what I'm saying.
What was Robin talking about? She's frustrated because she can't be a free agent anymore? A free agency?
Well, excuse me. Yeah, I think it was there's a lack of agency. It's un-American that she cannot live wherever she wants because St. George would be so perfect. Absolutely perfect. But they can't move there because of Utah. Because they fought the law and they won, but then the law came back and the law won.
If they had just stayed a little longer in Vegas, they could have sold these houses for more money. They could have moved to St. George because the law changed again.
Felons no more.
And there would be no point to all this.
Isn't that something? I think the Christine part here that really stood out was when she was thanking the wives for pulling her back in to this polygamy fold here because she was so ready to just stay in Vegas alone and try that out and see how that goes. But instead, all of the wives said, no, we need you here. You got to stay with us. And that really reassured Christine that this is the right thing to do. Keep trudging along with this good man who doesn't lead us into any stupid situations. I think the realization that she was driving home here is that she can't hinge all of her family's success on Gwen's happiness. She can't put all of that onto one child. So I feel like this was one of those moments where Christine was talking about her and her kid, but she's actually trying to send a message to someone else. She's trying to speak to someone else's scenario, mainly that being Robin's, where Robin has Dayton, who's going to college. And this is why we're moving, is because we are hinging it all on Robin and one child.
That's an interesting theory.
That was the connection point that I saw, was when she was talking about it and kind of coming to terms with that and being so relieved of how could I ever risk the larger happiness of the family, hinging all of that on Gwen's happiness of getting class treasurer or whatever. Was that a lesson that she wanted Robin to grasp instead, that just went whistling over her head?
Or something she was trying to communicate to the audience, perhaps, in a time when she wasn't able to outright say things.
Yes, very much so, because it's either take your pick, too, because it's, are we moving the rest of the entire family to help Dayton get situated in college because that's what Robin is comfortable with and that's what we're hinging it on for that? Or are we selling all these houses to secure a financial future for Ari, who is the youngest and stands at most risk of having absolutely nothing but debts to be left to her?
I think that's a sure thing.
Pretty much so.
With her parents?
Oh, very much so.
Hi, who here loves when their nails are perfectly done? Me. I'm Sarah Gibson Tuttle, and I started Olive in June because, let's be real, we all deserve to have gorgeous nails, but who wants to spend a fortune or half their day at the salon? And that's why I created the Mani system, so you can have that salon-perfect manicure right at home. And guess what? The best part? Each mani only costs $2. Yep, you heard me, $2. No more $30, $40, $50 salon trips that eat up your day. Now you can paint your nails whenever you want, wherever you want. And trust me, you're going to be obsessed with your nails and everyone is going to ask you, where did you get your nails done? And here's a little something extra. Head over to oliveandjune.com and get 20% off your first Mani system with code PERFECTMANI20 at oliveandjune.com/PERFECTMANI20. That's code PERFECTMANI20 for 20% off at oliveandjune.com/PERFECTMANI20. You're all set for a nail glow up. Let's get those nails looking fabulous, shall we?
When it comes to weight loss, no two people are the same. That's why Noom builds personalized plans based on your unique psychology and biology. Take Brittany. After years of unsustainable diets, Noom helped her lose 20 pounds and keep it off.
I was definitely in a yo-yo cycle for years of just losing weight, gaining weight, and it was exhausting.
And Stephanie. She's a former D1 athlete who knew she couldn't out-train her diet, and she lost 38 pounds.
My relationship to food before Noom was never consistent.
And Evan, he can't stand salads, but he still lost 50 pounds with Noom.
I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. Even through the pickiness, Noom taught me that building better habits builds a healthier lifestyle. I'm not doing this to get to a number. I'm doing this to feel better.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom users compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Cue the fireplace and your favorite fall movie. There's nothing better than a cozy evening at home with a glass of First Leaf wine. First Leaf is a personalized wine club that delivers right to your door. Sounds magical, right? They get to know your favorite tasting notes, which varietals you enjoy, and whether you prefer sweet or dry wines. So in every shipment, you get bottles tailored to your unique palate. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/fall to get your first 6 wines for just $44.95 with free shipping.
Shall we head to Hannah's apartment?
Well, that was a very personal invite. I guess. Yeah.
These women, they are fascinated by Hannah's lifestyle.
What's the name of the business? Is it Hannah's Hats? That's what I'm calling it.
Sure.
It's probably not Hannah's Hats.
I don't think it is.
But yeah, we're getting buzzed up on an intercom. It's just like the movies.
Meri can envision herself doing this because she is basically a single lady in the city.
Meri is considering installing an intercom buzzing system panel at the B&B now, just because of this experience. Mostly so that if Kody happens to be rolling through, which he's not due back for another couple of years here at the B&B, but if he did swing by, she'd be able to pretend like the intercom's not working and leave him locked out.
Christine is speculating as well about this life. Having all these kids and having to lug the groceries up the stairs seems really hard, but in her mind, Hannah did this with a smile on her face because she just loves her life that much in a way that Christine never has.
Oh, yeah. Christine is just amazed that someone could be happy in their life. That is a foreign concept entirely to her at this point.
This trip opened their eyes. I do think that it did. It scared them, but I kind of feel like Hannah was here showing them what independent women outside of a marriage look like.
You know what opened my eyes in this episode was that I didn't recognize Hannah when she didn't have a hat on.
She looks unnatural without a hat.
I've only seen her with various hats in the entirety of the series so far. So seeing her without a hat was very strange to me.
It was jarring. We're going to try hats on. That's the perfect segue.
Look.
Segue.
Oh. I've never worn a hat to a wedding. It's my first time. Go easy on me.
Did everyone say that? Who said that? Is that a joke?
It's probably a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that, though, because they're very freaked out about the hats. She has to teach them how to wear them. You got to tilt it to the side of the head. Christine doesn't like that. She wants to wear it just flat on the top, which I think if you look at Aspyn's wedding photos, she ended up doing incorrect.
Like a unicorn horn. Just right on the front and center. Meri's trying on some sort of a pincushion.
The bonnet that she couldn't see out of. But you know what? Robin tried it on later. And
oh, that was like the flower pot looking one that just clunk right on top there.
Okay, we're talking about different hats.
Yeah, these are different hats that we're talking about. I liked that Christine just jumped in, no reservations, and she knew immediately all these hats are going to look good on me.
I'm a hat person.
Yeah,
know?
So throw them at me.
Don't hate on me because I'm a hat person.
Go figure.
Janelle is a hat person. Janelle looks like an old Hollywood movie star in every single hat that got put on her head.
Well, the funniest thing for me is that Christine was into the fishnets or the netting. Well, yeah.
She did love that.
She did like that.
our freaky bitch.
Uh-huh.
Robin confesses that she loves hats, even though before she was worried about having to wear a hat to the wedding. This woman cannot pick a side and stay on it.
Yeah, because, there were a few, because she tried the upside-down flower pot hat that Meri had on, too, and, yeah, that one's not... It looked better on Robin.
It did.
But it's still... that one's not doing anybody any favors. I like that Meri ended up with, the Fascinator one.
I think most of them are fascinators.
See, I think,
she had, that's the one she wears to the wedding, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
It was edgy. That's what she likes. We want different. We're not going to give hat. We're going to give headpiece. Yeah, and I think that was kind of where my head went with Meri. Is I picture her more with a 1920s flapper doily on her head. I don't know what this hat is you speak of. Less ornate. Just like the flappers hats, the little hats that they would wear. They would do the bob cuts, and then they would have little tiny, tiny hats. You're going to have to find this hat for me. A cloche? Oh, like a beaded hat. Yeah, less ornate. But then I think the ornate actually worked out for Meri a little bit more, too. So it wasn't terrible. Robin ended up looking like, when she had the one hat, she looked like she was on the Titanic. So, you're doing something right. First class? Yeah, she's making sure she's got a lifeboat. I don't know. I thought she mostly liked hats just because it's another thing she can spend money on. Big fan of accessories. Yeah, you think she'd be into that. Surprisingly, Meri is the one who suggests that they all pick a hat to wear out to lunch. Even though Janelle was not into this idea at all and was very against it. She talked later about how she's not the same person she is with her sister wives as she is with her friends. She doesn't like that about herself. I felt like this was fun Meri energy, but they're all such downers. Yeah, and it's hard to be, you have to be vulnerable to be fun. And I don't feel like anybody feels safe to be vulnerable with Meri, given their history. To be fair, she asked them to wear a hat, and Janelle was horrified that she would have to walk in the street wearing a hat. But that's a boundaries thing where Janelle said, hey, I'm not really interested in that. And then Meri's like, what would be fun if we did the thing that would horrify Janelle? And then it's like, okay, well, I'm not really into that. All right, fair. So that's where it gets, you're walking a thin line where there's history there and there's some animosity probably underneath that too. But like you said, Janelle, I liked her with the big brim hats. I liked her with the teeny tiny hats. No normal size hat for Janelle. She needs to go big or small. She needs to go to the extremes. She wore a big hat out to lunch. The big hat, she was rocking it. It was good. She clutched it in her hands in the street, but she did put it on when they walked through the door of the restaurant. I don't know why this is such a struggle, though, to walk down the street wearing a hat. It's not like you're getting naked and walking down the street. You're putting on more clothes to walk down the street. Isn't it rude to wear a hat while you eat? Isn't it rude to insult Hannah's entire livelihood and talk about how weird this stuff looks when you're right in front of her and mocking this of well, what sort of ridiculous thing? And Hannah's like, well, I've built my entire life around this. Hannah made sure to put on the hat that was going to draw the most fucking attention. Did you see that big old feather? The feather. And Christine was right behind her with the same exact setup in a different color. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm going to embarrass these bitches. They don't want to be looked at. I'm going to wear the feather hat. Right in there. Is this a French restaurant? It looked like it. Maybe I'm making an assumption because there was French bread. And Hannah wants to go to Paris. Or is going to Paris. Is going, yeah. She doesn't just desire things. She does them. She does it. She's a boss bitch. Janelle opens the conversation by telling Hannah that she wants to be her when she grows up. And Hannah responds with, oh, that's funny. So many women tell me that they envy my life. I recently told someone I was going to Paris, and she told me she wanted to leave her husband so she could just jet off to Paris like me, the freedom I have. And when Hannah was telling that story, she reached out and taps Christine's arm, who she's sitting right next to, and Christine has to nervously laugh. That's so funny, Hannah, that you would just talking about your life makes women want to leave their husbands. You are so crazy. That is a crazy story. And then she takes the biggest gulp of water. It's very funny. If you did not clock that, you have to go back and watch it. And Robin, of course, can't be in a conversation where anybody makes it sound like having their husband around is inconvenient. So she asks, why wouldn't you just bring him with you?
Well, if you married the right one. And Robin, you did. The rest of these poor saps at the table, not so good. So this is where they get into the whole backstory about Hannah's not a sister wife. She was never a sister wife. She was raised in polygamy. She was the child of polygamy, but they didn't really interact with the other families.
She has kids who live polygamy and some that don't. It's really a conversation about doing what you think you're supposed to do because you're raised in it. Maybe that'll resonate with someone else at the table. Instead of finding the path that's right for you in life, they do agree on one thing, that I guess the biggest appeal of Sister Wives is the camaraderie that none of these women at the table have with each other.
Well, and then this was another point where Christine then has to speak vaguely in an example and hope that Robin gets this message, because then Christine starts venting about how horrible it is when a sister wife does join the family and she only wants the man, not a relationship with the other wives. And Robin's just over there happily eating her soup, not paying attention to anything that's being said, completely off in her own little world. She's not picking up the breadcrumbs that Christine is putting down. But that's disruptive to do that. It would mess up a family system if you did that. If you had a wife who entered and only wanted to marry the man and wasn't interested in getting into the lives of the other wives and sharing that, you can't do that. Don't do it. The only person at the table who is not jealous of Hannah's life is Robin, because it would just be so lonely to be Hannah by Robin's own definition here.
I feel like that was a really shitty thing to say about someone on TV.
I feel like
her life looks lonely.
I feel like this was the definition of irony when she's looking at someone like Hannah, who is authentically happy with the person that she is, the place that she is, and living the life that she leads.
Oh, that doesn't compute for
successfully
Robin.
and happily. That seems inauthentic to Robin when she is surrounded by women who are wildly unhappy in their lives and pretending like everything's perfectly fine. That is happiness to Robin.
That, or she misses a lot of context clues. Do you think that she buries her head in the sand that deep?
At first I wasn't sure, but I'm pretty sure, yes. She is just trying to shut off from that side of things. I couldn't figure out what it was that was off-putting about Hannah for Robin, and then Hannah had mentioned that she raised her kids to make their own decisions. They're good kids. They're adults. They go out and make their own decisions. And that's when I went, oh, that's where you lost Robin. She's not interested in that.
Hannah scares Robin in a lot of ways.
A lot of ways.
The rest of this episode is just like a hodgepodge of random shit. We get a flash of what's going on in Vegas with Kody. He's cooking around a fire pit with the kids. But really, he's looking pensive because he's still got his mind on moving.
And he's convinced that this is the best time to ruin these teenagers' lives because they'll benefit the most from having this disruption happen right
I'll
now.
benefit the most.
And he will absolutely benefit the most. But he also has to convince himself that his children will benefit too. Because I love how that was the excuse during the argument with Janelle too, where she was saying, I went through Hunter and Logan and Maddie, who were all very upset with the move to Vegas. I don't want to do that to Gabe. He will run away. He has told me this. And Kody's response to that was, oh, it's fine. We traumatized those kids. We'll just traumatize these ones too in the same way. You wouldn't learn from that and say, yeah, that was horrible. I wouldn't want to put our other kids through that.
No.
Kody looked at it and said,
money signs.
The other kids, they ended up fine. They're well adjusted. They're happy now. They're fine. So these kids will also be fine eventually.
Then back in Seattle, the wives go on a Segway tour together. They don't make Segways anymore. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I knew there was a steep drop off because they used to be all over the place in Chicago when we were in college.
They were a casualty of the pandemic.
Really?
Yeah. They stopped manufacturing them. So if anyone wondered what happened to the Segway, that is the story.
There you go. Well, we did get to see them learn to trust and respect the Segway as part of this episode. I have watched plenty of people biff it on sidewalks in Chicago during the Segway tours. So I'm surprised that we didn't have any footage of them falling over or getting knocked off or taking a curb too sharp or anything like that. What I will say is criminal is that they had GoPros all over the place. We didn't see any of that footage.
Oh, lost footage on the cutting room floor.
They had GoPros on the Segways, and Christine had a helmet with a GoPro on the helmet, and we didn't see any of that footage. So I don't know if that was just the tour, and
maybe
then
it
they
was
didn't
from the
share
tour,
that?
and they either didn't pay for it or they wouldn't give them the ability to use it on the show.
They forgot to charge them.
It probably looked like shit.
They didn't plug them in. They forgot to hit record.
You want to cap it off with Janelle's quote about if she was giving someone advice about plural marriage?
Yeah, where Janelle was warning about how if you are interested in jumping into polygamy, just a heads up that the first 5, 10, maybe 20 years, not really great.
They're going to suck pretty hard.
Pretty bad. And if they don't suck, somebody's lying. Somebody's not being honest. And you got a lot of stuff to work through.
Next episode, Christine and Meri try to recover the fun relationship they had years ago.
What?
What fun relationship?
When? How long ago was that?
Kody and Christine go to check out Flagstaff, Arizona. Leon has something big to announce to the family. Janelle talks to her children about the move.
Yeah, Gabe is looking for a way out here. He is testing the waters at Maddie's house to see if there's any room. I know Mitch moved in. You got room for one more?
Thank you for listening. If you want to support us, the best way to do that is by subscribing to the podcast and leaving a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify.
Be sure to chat with us about the episode on our Discord channel by joining our Patreon, patreon.com/survivingpod.
Stay tuned, share with friends. See you next time.
Hey, it's Mark Marin from WTF here to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. And I'm sure the reason you're listening to this podcast right now is because you chose it. Well, choose Progressive's Name Your Price tool, and you could find insurance options that fit your budget, so you can pick the best one for your situation. Who doesn't like choice? Try it at Progressive.com. And now, some legal info. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.